man, it's one of these stories. As a father of daughters, I almost can't bear this, so you might want to look away now. This is
it's
teenage.
It's about the
killing of. I'm just going to say the headline.
Okay,
That's all. The teenager who killed a 15-year-old who was his girlfriend in a stabbing frenzy is being named, but it goes back to the original crime and what an awful waste of life.
Indeed, and I cannot see any problem with the naming. The young man who's being named is 17 years old.
Logan MacPhail.
Which is plenty old enough to know what you're doing.
Well, he wasn't 17, I think, when he committed the crime. But whatever, I completely agree with you. Jonathan, I'm guessing you don't disagree with this.
I mean, I found this really upsetting reading this story. I'm a father of 2 girls. I found it a really difficult story to read. If the judge has made this decision, then that's they've obviously got a good reason for it. But I think there's a broader point here about knife crime and how it is affecting our young people on the streets.
But you raised an interesting point.
12-year-olds
but
12-year-olds.
You know, the parents are complaining because the mother says this is being filed under knife crime. It's not knife crime, it's domestic violence. This is a different kind. This is where he becomes fixated with her. They were boyfriend-girlfriend. She dumps him or whatever. He can't take it. It's the same usual story. And he then decides that no one else is going to have her. And I'll just make the point, it doesn't feel like it should be something more serious than just knife crime.
No, I mean, that is a fair point.
Knife crime's pretty darn serious. Come on. You kill people
This is
knives.
domestic violence.
I understand the point that
men killing women.
It is domestic violence. You're right, but there is an issue where young people increasingly think it's acceptable to carry knives just for their own protection, or sometimes for status reasons. And this is a problem. I mean, governments are trying to ban the sale of different horrendous, horrible knives because you can go on the internet and buy these knives very easily. But that, of course, doesn't stop you just getting a knife from your kitchen.
I don't know if this is the point of it.
You've made, and I think very well made, is that increasing numbers of youngsters are believing that it's all right to carry knives. And I did a documentary on girl gangs, and I was talking to about 15 girls, and none of them could believe, and I really mean this, they couldn't believe that I'd never carried a knife.
Were you serious?
No, I'm utterly serious.
That's amazing.
Utterly serious. They couldn't believe it. To them, it was as normal as putting a lipstick in your
That's so amazing.
handbag.
All right, look, I'm just going to show you some CCTV here, which is the moments before the murder, where she's at the bus stop there standing, and he's approaching her, and he persuades her to go into an alleyway to have a conversation, which is where he kills her. I'm not trying to start an argument over this with you guys, but her mum says it doesn't matter whether he had a knife or not. He was going to kill her with any weapon he could lay his hands on. So that's why she objects to the idea this is all bundled up with knife crime. But it's a kind of really a bit of a sidebar. The main thing is absolutely lovely girl and no future, no life ahead of her. And this young man, I guess, how do you even punish this, Anne? 30 years?
Well, that's down to a judge at 17, of course. I doubt if it will be, but it'll be life. It'll be life. And, whether he's let out and when will depend. Well, first of all, you have to serve the tariff, which could be as much as 30 years, but unlikely given his age. But then, of course, if he hasn't made progress, he doesn't have to be let out. I think what people don't realise is that being let out isn't automatic, and there are people in jail who they're long beyond their tariffs.
Yeah. What you can see?
I don't know the particular circumstances of this individual, so I won't comment on him. But I do think, as well as this point about young people increasingly carrying knives, I also think there's increasing numbers of young men watching horrendous stuff on TikTok. Watching videos where it is domestic violence, abuse of women is becoming glorified, encouraged, in a way in which obviously TikTok didn't exist when I was growing up, but just would not have been acceptable when I was growing up. And yet young men are increasingly being swept along with a lot of this stuff that they're seeing on social media about being completely disrespectful of women. And that is a problem we've got to stamp out as well.
What age are your daughters, may I ask?
13 and 10.
Oh, OK, because mine is 17 and 20. So the 17-year-old wrote a school play, and I went to see it, and to my surprise, she'd chosen a kind of toxic relationship where the male is just viciously undermining the female all the time. And I thought for a 17-year-old to write that, it was really interesting and very, very powerful, actually. But it's something that I guess the authorities have begun to think we need to see into.
In a minority of cases, of course, it works the other way.
Yep, no,
and we
fair
should
point.
never forget that.
Of course.